Hello and welcome to Economic Frontiers, where we explore innovative solutions to today's most pressing economic challenges. I'm Michael Reynolds, and today we're diving into a fascinating topic that's gaining momentum worldwide. Would a 3-4-day work week solve the unemployment issue? With me is economist Emma Chen, who specializes in labor economics and workplace productivity. Emma, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's great to be here discussing such a relevant topic that's generating so much interest globally.
Indeed. It's a concept that seems to be gaining traction in recent years. Before we dive into the unemployment question specifically, could you explain the economic theory behind shorter work weeks? What's the fundamental premise here?
The economic theory behind shorter work weeks is actually quite interesting. It dates back to John Maynard Keynes, who in the 1930s predicted we might be working just 15 hours a week by 2030 due to technological advances. The basic premise is what economists call work sharing, dividing available work among more people. If employees work fewer hours, the theory suggests employers would need to hire additional workers to maintain the same level of output, thus potentially reducing unemployment.
That's fascinating. So, in essence, if everyone works less, more people get to work.
That's the simplified version, yes. But it also involves what economists call the lump of labor fallacy, the mistaken belief that there's a fixed amount of work to be done in an economy. In reality, economies are dynamic. When we change one variable, like working hours, many other factors adjust in response.
I see. Now, this isn't just theoretical anymore. We're seeing real-world experiments with shorter work weeks. Can you share some case studies of companies or countries that have implemented this approach?
Absolutely. Iceland conducted one of the most extensive trials between 2015 and 2019, involving about 2,500 workers, roughly 1% of their workforce. Workers moved from a 40-hour work week to 36 hours with no reduction in pay. The results were overwhelmingly positive. Workers reported less stress, better work-life balance, and productivity either stayed the same or improved in most workplaces.
And I understand the UK had a similar trial recently, too?
Yes, in 2022, the UK ran what's considered the world's largest 4-day workweek trial to date, with 61 companies and around 2,900 workers. The results were remarkable. 92% of participating companies chose to continue with the 4-day week after the trial ended, with 18 making it a permanent policy. They found that employees' stress decreased by 39%, burnout levels dropped by 71%, and revenue actually increased by an average of 1.4% during the trial period.
Those are impressive results. What about Germany? I believe they've also experimented with this concept.
They have. Germany ran a 6-month pilot with 45 companies earlier this year. While the results weren't quite as dramatic as the UK's, researchers still found that employees generally felt better with fewer hours and remained just as productive as they were with a 5-day week. In some cases, even more productive. Participants reported significant improvements in mental and physical health and showed less stress and burnout. Interestingly, they even slept better, an average of 38 minutes more per week compared to the control group.
Let's focus on the unemployment question specifically. Based on these trials and the economic theory, do you think a shorter work week could meaningfully address unemployment issues?
It's complicated, Michael. The evidence suggests that shorter work weeks can help distribute available work during economic downturns. Germany actually used work sharing during the Great Recession to keep more people employed, but at reduced hours, which helped limit unemployment spikes. However, as a permanent solution to structural unemployment, the evidence is mixed. The critical question is whether companies would actually hire additional workers when hours are reduced, or if they would simply try to extract more productivity from existing employees or potentially automate more processes.
That makes sense. I imagine different sectors would respond differently too, right?
Exactly. In sectors where productivity improvements are more challenging, like healthcare, education, and many personal services, reducing hours without reducing output would require hiring more workers. A nurse can only care for so many patients in a given hour, and a teacher can only teach so many students effectively. But in sectors where technology can drive significant productivity improvements, companies might invest in automation rather than additional hiring when faced with reduced working hours. So the employment effects would likely vary considerably across the economy.
What about the social implications? Beyond the pure economics, how might a shorter work week affect work-life balance and overall well-being?
This is where the evidence is most consistently positive. Across virtually all trials, workers report improved mental and physical health, better work-life balance, and greater overall life satisfaction. In the UK trial, 60% of employees found it easier to combine work with care responsibilities, and 62% reported it was easier to balance work with their social life. What's particularly interesting is that these benefits aren't just temporary novelty effects. Follow-up surveys a year after the UK trial found that improvements in physical health, mental health, work-life balance, and general life satisfaction were maintained over time.
That's remarkable. But there must be some challenges or criticisms of this approach as well.
Absolutely. Critics point out several important concerns. First, there's the question of productivity. Can all sectors realistically maintain the same output with significantly reduced hours? Second, there are implementation challenges. What happens to businesses that need to provide service 5 or more days a week? Third, there are economic concerns about potential inflation if wages remain the same while productivity doesn't increase proportionally. And finally, some economists worry about international competitiveness. If one country adopts a shorter work week while its trading partners don't, could this create competitive disadvantages?
Those are important considerations. Looking at the broader picture, do you think there's something fundamentally changing in how we view work? Are we at an inflection point in our economic history?
I do think something significant is happening. Throughout most of the 20th century, as productivity increased, wages rose accordingly. But average hours work stopped declining around the 1970s in many developed countries. Instead of converting productivity gains into more leisure time, we've primarily converted them into more consumption. Now, particularly after the pandemic, I think there's a collective reevaluation happening. People are questioning whether constantly increasing consumption while maintaining long working hours is the best path forward. The 4-day work week represents a potential pivot toward valuing time over additional consumption.
That's a profound observation. As we wrap up, what's your assessment? Is a 3-4-day work week a viable solution to unemployment, or is it better viewed through other lenses?
I think a shorter work week is probably better viewed as one tool among many for addressing employment challenges rather than a silver bullet for unemployment. It may help distribute work more evenly during economic transitions or downturns, but it's unlikely to solve structural unemployment issues on its own. However, the evidence strongly suggests that shorter work weeks can significantly improve quality of life, reduce stress, and potentially even boost productivity in many sectors. If implemented thoughtfully, with proper planning and flexibility based on sector-specific needs, it could represent a meaningful evolution in how we structure work and society.
Michael, this has been an illuminating conversation. The economics of shorter work weeks clearly involve complex trade-offs and considerations, but the potential benefits for work-life balance seem substantial. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's certainly a fascinating area with significant implications for our economic future. I think the ongoing trials and experiments will continue to provide valuable insights into how we might reshape work in the 21st century.
And thank you to our listeners for joining us on Economic Frontiers. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please subscribe to our channel and check out our other episodes exploring cutting-edge economic ideas and solutions. Until next time, I'm Michael Reynolds, encouraging you to keep exploring the frontiers of economic thinking.